this is how to kind of polish off a room once it's done. I'm going to show you some neato tricks. So I've used this color scheme. I challenged myself and picked a really bright red, and I've used an analogous color pattern and applied those over here to this room, which is the one over here. But there's a couple tricks that I want to show in this video. It's really quick and take a couple minutes, but it's really going to help polish off your final product. So one challenge is getting the curtains right, because using the paint bucket on these curtains is tedious, and even if you do it, it doesn't look good. So we're going to try a different method to do the curtains. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to add an exterior. So we're going to pick an environment that's going to be outside, and we're going to put that in the windows, and we're also going to find an image that will complement this room and really help things look complete. And we're going to distort it a little bit too, so it looks more like it belongs in the image. So let's start with that. How could we get a image in this frame and make it look like it belongs in the room? So I'm thinking this has sort of like a Valentine's Day vibe to it. So maybe I'll get some roses or flowers. Let's do a quick Google search and see what we can find. Try roses and flowers painting. I'm definitely going to want something that's really wide. Images. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, if I had time, I could search more, but I think for the goal, that looks like a pretty good collection. So I'm going to click on that picture, make sure that I get the better version of it, copy the image, and Command V, paste it into my work. And then here comes the fun part. I'm going to size it up so that it's close. I'm going to hold Shift so that I'm not distorting it. Get it so it's approximately the right size, and hit the check mark. I'm going to hold Command and T. That puts it in the transform mode, so I can right click and I can play with perspective. So I'm going to click on perspective and then just drop that down. Maybe pull that up a little bit and just kind of play with the settings here. All right. All right, that's pretty close to the shape. I can still take the whole thing, shrink it down a little bit. But there we go. Now I've added a nice little rose picture to the room. Really sets it off. All right, so number 3, what kind of exterior do I want? So I'm thinking this is some kind of a hotel. Maybe it's nighttime. Maybe it's on a 3rd floor. So I'm going to look for maybe a city at night. Let's see what we can find. Ooh, like a pink sunset at city. Pink sunset city.
3.
All right. Now I want it to feel like it's in the city. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so we'll go with this one. And I'm going to copy the image. Command V, paste it. So it's sort of over the area. All right, so we're kind of in that area. And now I'm going to do my magic trick. Yes, you may. All right, so I'm going to go back to, I'm going to make this invisible for a second. Go to this layer. And remember back in the day when we used the magic wand tool, we're going to go back to that guy. I'm going to take off contiguous and click on this blue space, and that's going to select all the areas where there's this blue. That area is still active, so I can turn this on, go to this layer and hit the mask button, and poof! Oh, that looks so sweet. All right, we are killing it now. We've got a sunset. Last thing, but not least, is to get these curtains in. So to do the curtains, there's a couple approaches. I'm going to do it one way. I won't even argue that it's the best way, but it's a little easier to follow, I think. All right, so I need to make a gradient map. If I go down here to my adjustment layers and I scroll towards the bottom, there's gradient map. So I'm going to click on gradient map.
I'm not stressed. I'm just. I don't know.
Now that affects all the layers underneath it. That's why everything looks crazy right now. I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to pick some colors. So I'm going to change this to black or dark gray. And the oopsies, open that back up. And the other color, I'll just go to my swatches because these are my recently used colors, and I'll grab the red I've been using. Okay. And I'm focusing on the curtains right now. I can play with these settings too to kind of adjust how quickly it looks shaded or not shaded. So these sliders will make some changes. There we go. I can still see some of the dimension there. Okay. So I've set my gradient map, but the issue right now is it's affecting the entire layer. I'm going to take this mask and I'm going to fill it with black. So a quick way to fill it with black is make sure that your foreground color is black and then hold the Option key and hit delete. And that fills the mask with black, covering up the effects of that gradient map. But I do want it to show up in certain spots. So I'm going to reset and get my brush out. And now I can go to these curtains and paint with my brush on the mask. And that's going to let this gradient map kind of clean up the circles. There's some strategies we could use to do this a little bit quicker. So one example would be using something like the polygon lasso. If I use the polygon lasso, I can quickly outline the area. And then I'll just fill that with white. Option delete. And do another bit here. Alright, so now make that shape. Option delete.
What's your favorite thing about digital design? Oh yeah, mine.
Use my brush to kind of clean that up there. All right, there we go. That's an analogous color scheme with cool exterior, awesome looking curtains, and a picture to boot.